The divorce papers were spread across my kitchen table like fallen leaves, and for the first time in 15 years, I wasn't apologizing for something I didn't do. My name is Jennifer. I'm 38, and I thought I knew what betrayal looked like. I was wrong, but before we dive into how I discovered the truth about my marriage, my inheritance, and the family that saw me as nothing more than a walking ATM, please hit that subscribe button and support this channel. Your support means everything. Let me take you back to where it all began. I met David through a mutual friend at a barbecue 7 years ago. He was charming, funny, and had this way of making you feel like you were the only person in the room. We were both in our early 30s, ready to settle down, build something real together. David worked as a sales manager at a furniture store. Steady job, decent guy, or so I thought. Me? I'm a graphic designer, freelance mostly, which means my income fluctuates like a roller coaster, but I love the creative freedom. When we got married 5 years ago, David suggested we move into my grandmother's house. It makes perfect sense, Jen, he'd said, wrapping his arms around me in that way that used to make my knees weak. The house is paid off, it's in your family, why throw money away on rent when we could be building our future here? The house. God, how I loved that place. My grandmother Rose had left it to me when she passed away 3 years before David and I met. It was a beautiful 1920s craftsman with original hardwood floors, built-in bookshelves, and a wraparound porch that caught the morning sun just right. Rose had lived there for 43 years, raised my mother there, hosted every family holiday, every birthday party, every milestone. When David moved in, he brought his sister Emma with him, just temporarily, he'd promised. Emma's going through a rough divorce, and she needs somewhere safe for her and little Tyler. You understand, right? Family takes care of family. Emma was 35, recently divorced, with a 7-year-old son who was challenging. That's the polite way to put it. Tyler had behavioral issues that Emma seemed completely unwilling to address. He'd throw tantrums, break things, write on my grandmother's original wallpaper with crayons. When I'd gently suggest maybe we should set some boundaries, Emma would get defensive. He's just processing the divorce, she'd snap. Not everyone can have a perfect childhood like you did. Perfect childhood? My parents died in a car accident when I was 16. I lived with Rose through high school, worked 2 jobs to put myself through college. Perfect? Hardly, but David would always take Emma's side. She's been through a lot, Jen. Can't you just be patient? Patient. That word became the soundtrack of my marriage. The temporary arrangement stretched from weeks to months to, well, it's been 3 years now. Emma didn't work. Not couldn't work, wouldn't work. She'd had a part-time job at a boutique when she first moved in, but quit after 2 months. The manager was toxic, she claimed. I can't work in that environment. Then she'd apply for jobs but always find something wrong with them. Too far away. Not enough pay. Bad hours. The excuses were endless. Meanwhile, I was covering groceries, utilities, property taxes on my house, while also paying for Tyler's after-school care because Emma needed me time to process her trauma. David's solution? Maybe you could pick up more freelance work? You're so talented, Jen. I know you could bring in more if you really tried. More. Always more from me. Never less from them. Last month, everything changed. I was cleaning out Rose's bedroom, something I'd been putting off for years, when I found a manila envelope hidden in her cedar chest. Inside were documents I'd never seen before, a second property deed. Turns out Rose owned not just the house we were living in, but also a small rental duplex across town. She'd been collecting rent on it for 15 years, and when she died, that property came to me too. Sat on Rose's bedroom floor, holding these papers, realizing I'd been inheriting rental income for 3 years and never knew it. The property management company had been depositing the rent, $1,400 a month, into an account Rose had set up years ago. An account that was now legally mine. $42,000. Just sitting there, when I told David about the discovery, his reaction was interesting. That's incredible, honey. He was practically vibrating with excitement. Do you know what this means? We could finally renovate the kitchen, maybe add that master suite we talked about. We always when it came to my money, my property, but then Emma chimed in from the living room, where she'd been eavesdropping. Actually, I think Jennifer should sell that duplex and use the money to buy me and Tyler a place of our own. It would solve everyone's problems. The audacity took my breath away. Excuse me? I managed. Emma strolled into the bedroom like she owned the place. Well, it's not like you need two properties. And David and I were talking, this house is really too big for just two people anyway. Maybe it's time for you to downsize, and David could buy this place from you. Keep it in the family, you know? David could buy the house. With what money? His sales job barely covered his car payment and beer budget when it hit me. They'd been planning this. Planning how to get my inheritance, my grandmother's house, my rental property. I was just the obstacle in their way. I started paying attention. Really paying attention. David would take phone calls outside. Emma would get mail delivered to the house, mail addressed to Emma Williams Thompson. Not Emma Williams, her maiden name, or Emma Patterson, her married name. Williams-Thompson.so. I did what any rational person would do in 2024. I googled her. Emma Williams Thompson had been running a small business, from my address. A virtual assistant service, using my house as her business address, claiming to work from a professional home office. She'd been charging clients $45 an hour while telling me she couldn't find work. The business had been operating for 2 years. I dug deeper. Emma had excellent credit, because she'd been showing steady income and a stable address. My address. She'd even gotten a business credit card using the house as collateral, but David's search results were more interesting. Turned out my husband had been active on real estate investment forums, asking questions about how to help family members see the financial benefits of liquidating inherited property. There was a whole thread where he'd outlined our situation, asking other investors how to convince someone that keeping multiple properties was inefficient and that consolidating assets made more sense. The responses were enlightening. Other users had shared strategies for helping emotional property owners see logic over sentiment. One person had even suggested gradually increasing the financial pressure until selling seemed like the only option. I confronted Emma first. I printed out her business registration, her client testimonials, everything. So, I said, spreading the papers across the kitchen table while she was making Tyler's breakfast, Virtual Solutions by Emma. Interesting business model, providing professional services while claiming to be unemployed. Her face went white, then red, then back to white. I was going to tell you, when you'd saved enough from your secret business to buy your own place. Or when you'd figured out how to get me to sell this house. Tyler was watching from the corner, sensing the tension but not understanding it. Emma tried to play the victim card. I have a child to support. I needed income, but if I claimed it officially, it would affect my divorce settlement and child support. I had to be careful. So you used my home as your business address. Without asking. Without telling me. While letting me pay for your groceries and utilities. David walked in right then, coffee mug in hand, and immediately sensed the battle zone. What's going on here? I turned to him with printouts of his forum posts. Want to explain your real estate investment advice? Specifically the part where you've been asking strangers how to manipulate me into selling my inheritance? The fight that followed was epic. Emma screamed about how I'd trapped her, how I was heartless for not wanting to help family. David accused me of being sneaky and violating his privacy by looking up his online activity. You want to know what's sneaky? I was done. 5 years of patience, of being told I was selfish, of carrying everyone else's financial burden while they plotted to take what was mine. Sneaky is planning to steal someone's inheritance. Sneaky is running a business from someone's house without permission. Sneaky is asking internet strangers how to manipulate your own wife. That's when David played his final card. Jennifer, you're being ridiculous. We're family. This is what family does, we help each other. If you can't see that, maybe you're not the person I thought you were. Family. There was that word again. You're right, I said, and I saw relief flash across his face. Family does help each other. So here's how I'm going to help you. I pulled out my phone and showed them both the screen. I've already contacted a lawyer about the business fraud, Emma. Using someone's address without permission for commercial purposes is illegal. But I'm willing to not press charges if you're both out of my house by the end of the month. Emma started crying. David started yelling. Tyler started screaming because the adults were screaming, and I felt nothing but calm. This isn't your house, David snarled. We've been living here together for 5 years. I have rights. Actually, I pulled out the consultation notes from my lawyer visit, you don't. The house was mine before marriage, it's in my name only, and New Mexico doesn't recognize common law property claims on inherited real estate. You're essentially been my tenant. Both of you. The look on his face, it was like watching someone realize they'd been playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers. Emma tried one last manipulation. What about Tyler? You're going to make a child homeless? Tyler will be fine. You've been earning $45 an hour for 2 years. You can afford your own place. I looked at both of them. Unless you've been spending that money on something else? Silence. They moved out 2 weeks later. Emma first, then David, who tried until the very last day to convince me I was making a huge mistake. You'll never find anyone who loves you like I do, he said as he loaded his last box into his truck. I stood on Rose's front porch, watching him drive away. The morning sun was catching the windows just right, and for the first time in years, the house felt peaceful. Love? What David felt for me wasn't love. It was ownership. There's a difference. I kept the duplex as a rental. The income covers my mortgage and property taxes with money left over. I turned Emma's old room into the art studio I'd always wanted. Tyler's room became a proper guest space for when my friends visit. The house feels alive again. I host dinner parties now. Game nights. Book clubs. All the things I stopped doing when David and Emma moved in because there was never enough space or Tyler needed quiet time. Last week, I got a text from David. Emma had moved back in with him, into his studio apartment. Apparently, her business wasn't as successful as she'd claimed, and she'd been using credit cards to maintain her lifestyle. He wanted to know if we could work things out. I blocked his number. I'm not going to tell you that leaving was easy. 5 years of marriage, even a manipulative one, leaves marks. Some days I still catch myself making enough coffee for 3 people instead of 1, but I sleep better now. I dream better. I wake up in my grandmother's house, my house, and remember who I was before I became someone else's solution to their problems. Rose used to tell me, Jenny girl, sometimes the people who claim to love you the most are the ones trying to take the most from you. Real love adds to your life. It doesn't subtract. I should have listened sooner. Has anyone else dealt with family members who saw your generosity as weakness? Or discovered that people you trusted were planning behind your back? Share your story in the comments below. Sometimes we need to hear that we're not alone in these experiences, and if this story resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button and support this channel. Your engagement helps us share more stories of people who found their strength when it mattered most. Remember, your home is your sanctuary. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise.